As My Heart Gives Out by Kira 18 on 3. Chapter 8. Much Needed Reunions. The next time Izuku's consciousness comes back to him, he feels more awake somehow. His limbs feel heavy against the mattress he lays on, and yet he feels more grounded in the happenings of the world around him. Something shifts by his side, and his heart swells as he realizes just who it is that's slumped against his bedside. Shinsou's eyes are closed, seemingly asleep. His entire body is tense and strung out. It only serves to emphasize the exhaustion and stress he must have been put under. Lifting a tentative hand, his only remaining one, he muddles through the movements of pressing it lightly to the boy's hair, enjoying the softness that meets his callous fingers. He must have showered recently, a relief that he, at least, wasn't neglecting himself entirely. His actions gains a slight shift at the teen's shoulders as he turns and burrows his face deeper into the sheets of the hospital bed. A small sigh escapes his lips as his eyebrows release some of their tension. The effect is so instantaneous that it brings a smile to Izuku's face as he continues to card shaky fingers through lavender locks. He was awake all night. A voice calls from the doorway, making him tense. His head shrivels to greet the new incomer. Wouldn't move an inch once he knew you woken up. Kachan's voice is gruff, sounding just as tired as his classmate. Not that I'm any different. He mumbles as he takes a swig of what Izuku assumes, from the warm smell, is coffee. Kachan, he utters, voice trembling with the effort to form the words, his throat too dry to function properly. It sends his friend straight into action as he practically races to Izuku's bedside table and pours him a cup of water. His movements are tentative and kind as he tilts the cup to Izuku's mouth and waits patiently for him to finish drinking. Glad you didn't croak, nerd. His crass words are so in character that it draws a huff laugh from him, making his stomach constrict in pain, an involuntary groan escaping his mouth. Don't make me laugh, you ass. He chides without any real bite, feeling content to listening to his friend's heartbeats. Seriously, though, Izuku, I'm glad you're alive, the teen says after a moment, his tone turning serious, as heavy as he speaks. Seeing you like that, it was shit. I hated it. So don't die on us again. Kachan, you know that nothing has changed, right? He whispers, his fingers halting their caretaling as he turns to stare at his friend's direction. Green, white, milky eyes, looking sadder and even more exhausted. I'm still dying. His voice is steadier now, his words cruel and final. The cup creaks as Bakugo's fingers clench and squeeze involuntarily, the only hint that Izuku's words affected him at all. Stop, all right? We'll figure something out. Don't give up that easily. Weren't you always the one preaching about never giving up? He stayed silent then, knowing that arguing now wouldn't help anyone. Breathing in, he centers himself and wills his mind to think of something lighter to say. Hey, do you think I'll get 2 parking privileges now? The question is so out of left field, it catches the blonde off guard for a moment. The fuck? He huffs, caught between a laugh and a growl. I don't even know what to say to you, you morbid shit. He shakes his head, flopping into the only remaining empty seat in the room. You don't even own a fucking car, shitty nerd. Maybe I should get one. Do you think they'll give me one in jail? Do they have a Make-A-Wish Foundation in there? His voice strains with every word he speaks, but he doesn't regret the action, as the tension in his friend's frame slowly dissipates the longer he jokes. You sure are chatty for someone who just came back from the dead. He grunts, putting away his empty cup. And you're not going to jail, so stop it with the idiotic thoughts. No way am I letting anyone give you any shit. Besides, eyebags would probably murder whoever got near you, and Aizawa would gladly hide the bodies. Should I be worried? A voice interrupted them, making both of them jump this time. Barely up, and you're already planning murders, problem child. Aizawa grumbles, leaning aside against the doorframe. Nah, don't get your pants in a twist, the teen says, getting up from his seat and turning to face the man fully. Fucker would deserve it, anyways. He mutters, his words making Izuku choke slightly, his stomach once again constricting, searing pain shooting up his chest. Are you okay, Izuku? Aizawa inquires. Worry tinged his words now. I'm fine, just swallowed wrong. Sorry. He slides further down his bed, suddenly feeling very tired again. Bakugo, come with me. Let's leave him to rest for a while. We can plot world domination in a few hours. Grunting in approval, Bakugo shoots one last, see you later, nerd, before following Aizawa back into the hall. The door, clicking shut behind them, makes more noise than anticipated, and the figure, slumped at his side, finally shifts into consciousness. Shinsou wakes up, slowly, his body moving at a snail's pace, as he ever so calmly rights himself into an upright position. Izuku can pinpoint the moment Hitoshi realizes that he's awake and looking at him. His entire body recoils as he shoots back in surprise. Emotions warning with themselves as he takes a moment to just stare at him. His gaze is hard and serious as one of his hands come up to pinch himself. When the pain in his arm fades and his skin reddens, but nothing changes, and no life-altering dream comes into revelation, he shoots up his feet, his chair skidding, almost falling as he stands. He can picture the expression crossing his features as he stands there, staring right into Izuku's soul, not uttering a single word as he lifts his hands once more, this time bringing it up to Izuku's own face. His fingers tremble and shake as he ever so diligently strokes Izuku's cheek. Once more, the object of his focus doesn't disappear into a puff of smoke and broken wisp, and he finally lets his guard dissolve. His stable mask shatters as his expression crumbles and breaks. Tears escape his eyes as he crouches down, bringing his head so close that their foreheads touch as he takes a moment to breathe, his ears listening intently for Izuku's own expanding lungs. Izuku feels his own composure shatter as he lets himself fall for the first time since waking up, slumping into Hitoshi's hold in a desperate attempt to get closer. Is this real? Hitoshi's voice is soft as he speaks, as if afraid to ask the question, lest the answer ruin everything for him. Are you? I'm here, Hitoshi. Izuku's voice mirrors the other boy's tone, fingers coming up once more to bury themselves within soft lavender locks. I'm here. His eyes water, and he feels the dampness spread as he finally comes to terms with the fact that he survived. He still had a little time. And he swore then and there that he would enjoy it until the very end. He doesn't know who makes the first move, which one of them closes the remaining distance between them, small as it may have been. He feels soft lips meet his own, salty and wet from the tears leaking from both of their eyes. His chest feels ready to burst as he feels everything and nothing at once. This time feels nothing like their first. The warmth is still ever so present, but is accompanied by so much more. Raw emotions move them, and it feels like they could remain like that for all eternity. So much hurt, passion, love, and relief. Raw, unfiltered relief at being safe and sound in each other's arms. He pulls back to breathe, panting slightly, as he faces the boy before him. Soft breaths hit his eyelids as they stay like this, regarding each other with nothing short of pure adoration. I love you, he finds himself thinking, the 3 words getting caught between his teeth, even as his heart attempts to beat right out of his rib cage. I'm in love with you, he wants to say, desperately so, even as his own voice fails him. I know, Shinsou whispers, having seemingly gotten the message, despite Izuku's inability to utter the words. His fingers rise to lift the hair out of his face, his lips meeting his own once more, then twice, only for a fraction of a second. I know. I'm sorry, he says instead. Sorry for I know. I'm sorry, he says instead. Sorry for being unable to say the words he yearns to say. Sorry for being weak, for being selfish, for almost breaking their promise. He's sorry for so many things he can't bring himself to voice, once again succumbing to his own cowardice. I'm so sorry, Hitoshi, he sobs, letting his head fall onto the other boy's shoulder. They remain there, content to soak in each other's warmth for as long as they're allowed to, even as Izuku lets his head fall back into his pillow, letting Shinsou follow his movements until he's half laying next to him. A little while later, just as sleep starts to creep back into his active mind, Shinsou suddenly shoots up out of bed. He fumbles with his words, seemingly just now coming to a realization. Do you need anything? Are you feeling okay? Water? Should I call the nurse? Does it hurt anywhere? Hitoshi, no, yes, I'm okay. Kachan already gave me water, and no, I'm fine. His amusement must have been palpable, for he senses the heat rising to Hitoshi's cheeks as he tries to cover his embarrassment with a huff. Bakugo was here, and he didn't wake me up? He sounds so betrayed, it makes him smile. He hurries to reassure the teen. You were exhausted. We wanted to let you sleep longer. He mumbles, tiredly. Izuku, you were just in a coma. I'm the one who should be worried about you. He finally sits back down, this time significantly calmer, taking his hand into his own. He feels his gaze drift to his missing limb and freezes, shoulders hunched in on themselves, in a misinterpreted guilt. I'm alright, I promise. He does his best to squeeze back, but the effort is more taxing than it should be. Don't you mean you're all left? Kachan's voice. Don't you mean you're all left? Kachan's voice is not an unwelcome interruption, breaking some of the tension that had settled within their enclosed space. Bakugo, you. Shinsou starts. Izuku interrupts him. Bakugo, you. Shinsou starts. Izuku interrupts whatever spiral he would have gone into with his own uncontrolled laughter, his hand shifting to hold his stomach, trying his best to ignore the pain. You ass. He laughs out, throwing his empty cup of water in his general direction. Sorry to break up the party, but visiting hours are over. A nurse calls out from behind Bakugo, signaling for the 2 teens to follow him out. Let your friend rest. He needs all the sleep he can get right now. Of course. Shinsou mutters as he stands, giving Izuku's shoulder one last squeeze before heading out. Bakugo, throwing a sarcastic goodbye, on his way. The moment the door clicks shut behind them, he lets himself relax, exhaustion seeping into every crevice of his body, as he finally succumbs to the oppressing urge to sleep. Now, you might feel a pinch in a few places, so I need you to be honest with me when I ask if it's comfortable or not. Hiro says, adjusting the prosthetic until it fits snugly against his stump. His arm was cut just a little below the shoulder. It still freaked him out, feeling the empty space it used to fill. Our robotics department is very advanced thanks to the quirk of a couple of our doctors here. Aizawa's presence was a reassuring weight on his back. Silent, but persistent in his support. It hurts a little down here. He gestured, hesitantly, to the edge of his stump. It was still red and irritated, despite the numerous quirks that had been used on it to accelerate the regeneration. They couldn't use normal healing quirks on him, after all. The Recovery Girl incident had been more than enough of an example. Yes, I'm afraid that would be expected. Your wounds haven't fully healed yet, so even if we are fitting your new arm now, you won't be able to use it for a couple of weeks yet. Oh, right. He concealed, quietly, feeling a little disheartened. Don't pout, problem child. You need to be more patient. His guardian chided lightly. Let your body heal at its own pace. Nodding his head in acceptance, he let Hiro-san guide him back properly into his seat. The rest of the session was spent in silence, as the doctor checked over his wound, one by one, changing his bandages and adjusting the IV line. He really wanted to get out of this hospital. The constant whirl of electricity and the non-stop humming of the ventilators and machines weren't making it any easy for him to rest. Although, ironically, his week spent in a coma had helped him in that particular department. Having slept through the hardest part of his recovery, he only had a short road to go. One he could hopefully spend at home, away from all the antiseptics and disinfectants. Headache? Aizawa asked quietly, having learned to read him without Izuku having to voice any of his thoughts out loud. Mm-hmm, he hummed, scrunching his eyebrows as another wave of dizziness hit him. I've upped the prescription of your old meds. Now that I know for sure that you have a support system, I can begin to give you the proper medication to treat your symptoms. I'm afraid that's all we could do for now. Dr. Hiro explained as he jotted down a couple of notes on his tablet. Before you go, Hiro-san, Aizawa called out, moving to stand in front of the doctor. I'd like a detailed report on everything I should expect or possibly look out for in the upcoming months, and maybe a list of all his medications, the required dosages, and use schedules. I can handle that myself, Aizawa. Ignoring him completely, the doctor replied, Of course, I would have given them to you regardless, given that you are his legal guardian. Thank you. Shooting both of them a smile, of what Izuku assumes is a smile from his body language, the doctor finally takes his leave. You don't need to baby me, I can take care of myself. Izuku repeats, feeling more than a little put off by the idea. I'm not babying you, problem child. The man sighed, leaning against the wall lazily. I know you can take care of yourself. Then why would you bother asking for all of that? Sighing heavily once more, the teacher seemed to contemplate his words carefully. Being able to take care of yourself doesn't stop others from wanting to do the same to you. You don't have to do everything alone. Get it into that thick skull of yours, kid. You're not alone anymore. His words seemed to hit harder than he anticipated, his hands clutching around the sheets at his side, feeling strangely choked up. You're a bigger softy than I expected, Eraser. He laughed, wanting nothing more than to cut the tension away. Yeah, well, don't shout it from the rooftops. He huffed. I got a reputation to maintain. What reputation? I've sensed you feed all your cats on your patrol route. Multiple times. You're not fooling anyone with that mystery act of yours. Izuku's eyelids were getting heavy, and his energy was once again depleting. Get some sleep, kid, he replied, picking up what seemed to look like a book from Izuku's bedside table, and making himself comfortable on the chair. The entire thing was so utterly domestic. It made something in his chest squeeze. He couldn't get used to this, even though he really, really wanted to. Okay, so the reunions are Izuku with Bakugo and Shinsou. Alright, I thought it was gonna be Ru in there, so yeah, no Ru reunion for now. Next chapter is called Going Home, so I'm guessing they're gonna go home on that one. Oh my god, I'm a genius, guys. Call Albert Einstein. What did he do? God, I'm so uneducated. Never mind, don't look at me. Don't look at me. Look away. Look away. Look away. Look away. This was a very sweet chapter. I love that the first thing Izuku and Shinsou do when Izuku wakes up from his nap and Hitoshi gets to, like, actually talk to him when he, you know, wakes up from the coma. Or not the coma, but, you know, gets to see him awake since the coma, is kisses him. And not just kisses him. The fact that Izuku had to break away for air tells me that they were making out. Where do I get myself a Shinsou? That's what I'm saying. Where do I get someone who stays with me through a coma? That's what I want. Someone who stays with me with a coma. Okay, look, I want a best friend like Bakugo, who worries about me, who we may have a little bit of a rocky past, but he still very much cares about me, right? And will, you know, joke around with me, all right, about, you know, stuff. I don't know, random morbid shit. Get myself a Shinsou who will stay with me throughout a coma, who will stay with me through a terminal illness. Izuku doesn't have a terminal illness, I know, but we're treating it as so. And get me an Aizawa who's a parental figure. Actually, no, just give me an Aizawa. I want to marry Aizawa. You know, the things I want to do to Aizawa. You know, I want him to, and then I want him to do, and then after that, I would love some, and don't even get me started on what we could do with. And hey, if Mike wants to join and go, then I'd be delighted to let Mike me. So just saying, Mike, Aizawa, I am ready for the night of my life. I'm asexual. I don't know why I'm saying all this shit. I'm asexual. But as I was saying, this is a very sweet chapter. This is a very nice chapter. Izuku's getting in, what's it called? A prosthetic. So something I realized while I was reading this out loud is Izuku is getting the Lily treatment, Lily/Lotus treatment, obviously cutting off the arm. We still don't know if it's the right or left arm. I need to know, is it the right arm? Is it the left arm? This is very important. We also know the placement of where the cut is. So it is mentioned that it's right, it is, you know, right below the shoulder, right? Right below where the shoulder starts. So, that's not where Lotus's/Lily's is. Lotus's and Lily's is an inch above the elbow. An inch above the elbow. So their stump is a little bit, like, they still have a little bit of arm left. Izuku lost almost all of his arm. Okay. Damn. Alright. I guess if we would have to compare both of their cuts, I feel like Izuku's slump would be a lot more prettier than, you know, Lily/Lotus's, because depending on which universe and depending on whether it's, you know, roleplay, fanfiction, or whatever, is how ugly the cut is, but almost always it is never a medicated amputation. It's almost always done outside by outside people, whether it be in a freak accident. Actually, no, there was once where it was a medicated amputation. Although, let's be honest, that was yeah, we don't talk about that one. We do not talk about that one. And then he gets the Yui treatment because Yui is always ill on something. Quirk related, non-Quirk related, something unexplainable, some terminal illness that no Quirk can heal. Like Izuku's case. And always dies young. I think the longest she's ever lived was the age of 35 or 45, but I'm pretty sure it was 35. Yeah, that's sad. And I love that. But I need to know, is it the right arm, is it the left arm? These are information that I need to know. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.